Hello everybody. This is Kira's show here. And yeah, I'm quite aware that I'm posting before work. I'm just as surprised as you are. And well, I did have to wake up a bit early this morning. The reason for that being is because my car has to go to the shop. Again. And I'm actually a bit happy that I'm going to be able to post this. So, first off, I do want to say that I am very surprised that I'm already at this goal. 4K. I reached that earlier this morning whenever I woke up. I was actually at 4001. And I still have trouble believing that I grow so fast. It sometimes doesn't seem reasonable how fast it's been going. Other times it's just surprising. Anyways, I do believe that we should begin. Now, what if Deku was the Punisher? We will start with Izuku Midoriya. The backstory on him is his father was a U.S. Marine. He went into the military in Japan. However, with the world being so far in the future, I'm going to be changing this up a little bit. The military structure is different. Whenever Hisashi went into the Marines in Japan, whenever he was transferred, he was put into the United States Marine Corps, the USMC. Now, I want to say that he did about 2 to 3 tours, before eventually having to come back home, since one of his patrols that whenever he went out on them off of the base, he encountered, well, heavy resistance, and the van or the weaponized vehicle he was in was hit with an IED, giving him shell shock and making him the only survivor of the incident. He was badly hurt and injured. However, whenever he did get home, things were not easy. He basically spent a bit of time in the States, before eventually having to leave the Marine Corps, on a discharge, or a dishonorable discharge. To anyone who does not know what that is, it's basically where you leave on bad terms. Like if you were to punch a drill sergeant in the face, then not only would they punch you back, you would be kicked the fuck out. Now, with that being said, after he left, he stayed in America for a little bit of time, before heading back to Japan. And eventually, trying to try out to be a pro hero. However, that avenue did not work out. So, he did the next best thing. He had the idea to become a vigilante. Since, well, he can't forgive what he's seen. Eventually, after time, he gave up on that. And he started to settle down, get back into things. Some of his old buddies, for whenever he was still in the military, introduced him to someone. In fact, they were a friend of their wives. Him being introduced to Inko, and hitting it off with her. The two had a bit of a normal life. For a while. Inko was able to help Asashi wrestle with his demons, and get over a little bit of that trauma. It was still there, but he could at least control it, and manage it. The two eventually getting married, and Hisashi having to give up on the whole vigilante thing. Now, he did actually settle down into a bit more of an office job, deciding that that would probably be the best thing. especially because the pay would be very good. Now, along with that, Hasashi does not have a quirk. In fact, that was one of the only reasons why he was allowed into the military. He didn't really meet a lot of the other requirements for it. However, with the whole law about you not being able to use your quirk in warfare, yeah, you can't really use a quirk if you don't have one. Now, due to that, you have Izuku Midoriya, who at the age of 4 is properly pronounced quirkless. Now, this information kinda does surprise Midoriya. However, it isn't really a surprise. From what he's heard from his dad, even if he did have a quirk, it'd be something like his mom's, or possibly his grandfather's. On Hasashi's side, a fire-breathing quirk, or a possibly weak telekinesis. However, this information doesn't really rattle Midoriya the same. In fact, he kinda doesn't really see it as anything different. Instead of him thinking that he can't be a hero, he can still see that he can, since he does actually admire his father. Now, Hasashi does actually still work in Japan. His job is different from the one he has in canon. He still does roughly the same stuff, but he does work for a different company. Since as soon as his job told him that they'd have to send him away from his son, or his family overseas, he quit the job, and went to go work for a rivaling law firm, or a rivaling company. Now, due to that, he was able to quickly go through their ranks, and prove that he is willing to get a job done. They once gave him a project that would take him an entire week, and he got it done in less than 2 days, since he didn't really sleep. Now, he also did have the idea to try and be private security for the CEO. However, they really didn't like his style. The guy was too headstrong and seemed to be wary of everyone around him. So they thought that he might have a bit of screws loose in his head. Now, that being said, he does come home today, and he does find out about his son being quirkless. Now, Hasashi, he kind of isn't really surprised. Honestly, he should have expected this. Inko's quirk is 4th generation, and he's not even sure if a 5th generation quirk kind of even exists. If it did, it would probably be weaker than Inko's. It takes her 3 tries to simply pull an object to her hand. Midoriya, he could probably use it. However, he might only be able to pick up small pebbles and anything. Probably not anything bigger than a book. Or even a pen. So, along with that, the fire-breathing quirk his dad has, it is kind of dangerous. And not controlled properly could lead to very harmful effects. Now, as soon as he does hear his son begin to be upset about this and be a bit annoyed, he does actually tell his son that he can still try. There is no do or do not, there is only try. As he begins to instruct Midoriya on some things that he is going to be learning. As he begins to instruct Midoriya on how to properly do things. Taking Midoriya out on a bit of runs. Taking Midoriya to exercise. Beginning to get his son into physical shape and condition his mind to make him stronger. Now, Inko, she does actually understand what Hasashi is doing. And she doesn't really think it's very good. Midoriya can still be a hero. He could be a police officer, a firefighter, or anything else. However, being a pro, that's going to be out of the question. Hasashi explained to her that they can only give him a dream, put him on a beaten path. If they discourage their son, then it's not going to end well. In fact, he might just end up doing something different, doing something stupid. So, this is how they're going to be doing things. He's going to be training his son, getting him put on a proper diet plan, teaching him how to fight, and whenever he is old enough, he's going to try and teach him how to use weapons, like a handgun. Enko not really being keen on that idea. Hasashi just telling her that it's going to be perfectly okay. It is only because if he does get older and he does want to be a police officer, then he'll already be able to go through most of the training. So, she just needs to give him trust on this. And, well, he's not gonna do anything reckless. If Izuku isn't comfortable with something or isn't too keen on it, then he will not force his son to use the handguns, or even the rifles, depending on whatever they start with. And Inko can actually be there to train him. Now, Inko does actually somewhat agree to this, as they begin to wake up early in the morning, and begin to train Izuku. Midoriya beginning his own regiment, push-ups, sit-ups, and plenty of milk. I don't think anyone's going to understand that if they don't watch Team 4 Star. Now, with that being said, it has been a little bit of time. And after everything that has happened, it's kind of hard not to know what is going to be going on. It has been roughly 4 years. And Izuku Midoriya, he is around the age of 8 to 9 years old. And he's been doing this workout regimen for roughly about almost 3 years. That's whenever his dad really decided to step it up, beginning with weight training and actually deadlifting, beginning to build proper muscle, and teaching him his hand-to-hand combat. Along with that, if you really ever need to, you fight dirty. Hand-to-hand combat sometimes isn't about honor. In fact, you should be willing to throw that away and fight dirty. Since if he is going to be a hero, yeah, villains don't play fair. They don't go by a rulebook or a standard code. Now, Midoriya, he does actually understand this. And his mindset has actually changed. He has a bit more confidence in himself. And he is actually seen as a very strong kid. Instead of people bullying him or making fun of him now, some of them actually do see him push himself. He's usually the most physically active in school, excelling very high in. Now, other than PE, Midoriya has also been seen by other people as a bit tougher, a bit sturdier, if you will. He doesn't seem to back down, especially whenever people try and make fun of him for being quirkless. In fact, yeah. Bakugo once tried to make fun of Midoriya for being quirkless, and Midoriya quickly responded by breaking his nose with a punch, and at least knocking out a tooth. Whenever he was ganged up on by a few of the students, he was able to take out a few of them before having to go to the hospital. Since he had cuts, he had bruises, and yeah, he broke 2 bones in his hand, his left one. Since one of those kids did at least have a hardened quirk. Now, we do cut to a bit of time, Midoriya, he is being given his first lesson on a handgun. How to use it, how to aim it, and proper safety with it. Now, with that being said, he is also taught how to take it apart, put it back together, and keep it clean, maintaining your weapon, keeping it in top order. Now, with that being said, Midoriya is reluctant to pick up a handgun, since it is a tool. A very, very dangerous tool. And, if handled improperly, could hurt somebody. Midoriya picking it up, and at least aiming down sights with it, as him and his dad are at a shooting range. Midoriya is being instructed that he needs to aim at the target, and try and hit it. Now, Midoriya actually does so. However, this piece of metal in his hand, it feels heavy. In fact, it just got a little bit heavier. And he does actually yank the trigger back. And he does feel the recoil, not being ready for it, as the bullet shoots down range and hits a bit off of its mark. And Midoriya does actually get sent falling backwards. Now, Hasashi does actually run over to his son and make sure that he is okay. As soon as Midoriya does get back up, Hasashi picks up the handgun and asks his son if he is okay, if he would like to try that again. Midoriya, yeah. He does want to try that again, but he was kind of nervous. Now, Hasashi does actually get Midoriya set up, telling him that he doesn't need to keep his arms straight out all the way. Bend at your elbows, and actually, instead of yanking the trigger back, you have to squeeze it, not pull. Now, Midoriya actually does do this, firing off the weapon, and hitting a bit closer to his mark. Hasashi then giving him a thumbs up. Midoriya squeezing the trigger once again, and firing off into the target, as he begins to do this for quite a bit of time. Now, after unloading a few magazines, and shooting at many different targets, Midoriya has actually successfully gotten over that little bit of fear. He still does know the dangers of using one of these, but he's a bit more cautious about it now. It is a very, very dangerous thing, and Hasashi does actually begin to instruct him on how to clean and maintain the weapons once more. However, he begins to show Midoriya how to do this with rifles and other forms of handguns, instead of the standard one that he has just been giving Midoriya. He did have a few rifles left over from his time in the military. And, surprise, surprise, his son is becoming quickly a natural at this. His day-to-day life consisting of early morning training, a shower, school, combat training in the afternoon, and having to dismantle and put a gun back together before, well, dinner, usually. Sometimes they do switch it around and try and work around the schedule, since it is going to be very, very tedious. Anyways, I do believe that I can end the what if out there, and I do hope you guys enjoyed, and have an amazing day. I'll catch you guys in the next part.